We're going to keep the meeting moving as quickly as we can, okay? So if we're ready, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America,
Republic which stands
which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Okay, Mr. Kennett, can I have a roll call, please?
Sure. President McCarthy.
Present.
Dr. Carpenter.
Present.
Mr. Forbeck.
Present.
Ms. Lualbo. Mr. Mallon.
Present.
Ms. Provenza.
Present.
Mr. Suchovich.
President.
Mr. Alexander.
Present.
Mayor Recupero.
Present.
Mr. Pitch.
Here.
I am also here.
Okay, do we have any registered comments from the public?
Yes, we do. Mrs. Drabicki Bell.
Okay.
Sandy? Hold on, you're muted, Sandy. Okay, you there?
Yep, I'm here. Are we okay?
Yep, you're good. Go ahead.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back, Pat.
Thank you.
Sandy Drabicki Bell, 619 3rd Avenue, 60-year resident. I want to make this perfectly clear. I do not want comment from the paid employees sitting in front of me. Not Mr. Alexander, not Mr. Kenna, not Mr. Pitch. I asked for this time to address my elected officials, including the mayor, regarding your gross incompetence of the willy-nilly expenditure of public funds at the regular business meeting dated June 9, 2020. It was truly an insult to watch the meeting become a public auction using public funds. I'm talking about the request of a $250 donation to the Garden Club, which was doubled to $500 by Councilperson Carpenter, and then doubled again by Councilperson Lualbo, and moved upon unanimously at $1,000. Councilperson Carpenter remarked, "Well, we're not going to argue that." She was right. There were no questions asked, so I'm going to ask the questions. But first, I want to remind you that you all took an oath, some of you more than once, to hold the seat that you are sitting upon. It was an ethical oath, swearing to uphold the constitutions of the United States and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and to perform the duties of your counselor office with fidelity, integrity, and loyalty to the public. So here are the questions which the public has a right to know. Number 1, Councilperson Provenza, Communications Chairperson. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that you are a member of the Garden Club. You know from owning a home that any project requires money and a plan. What, if any, fundraising had been done by the Garden Club from spring 2019 to spring 2020 prior to the pandemic? Number 2, Councilperson Suchovich, Finance Chairperson. In all fairness to the taxpayers who pay for, to name a few, the hanging and taking down of the baskets, Resnick landscaping for weeding, the water bill, and the water person who just happens to be the son of a Garden Club member and named his own salary at the February 11 meeting of $45 a day. You do the math. This becomes $315 a week, $1,260 a month. Did his resume warrant this salary? What happened to his efficiency? Because now I've seen the street department watering the flowers. How much is being spent in overtime? What money, if any, has been donated by the chamber for the beautification of their business district? Councilperson Lalabo, Parks Chairperson. Any personal interest club is recreational. What money, if any, had been requested and allotted to the garden club by the Parks and Rec Board, who are appointed by the council and responsible to the council? Number 4, Councilperson Matlin, Public Works Chairperson and COG representative. The COG has equipment that can be borrowed for street repair. And for the 7 months that you have been on council, you've spoken about an agenda for street repair. Where exactly, if any, is Peach Alley in this timeline? It has been on council's table for 12 years. So I imagine it must be close to number 1 on the street repair list. Number 5, Councilperson Forbeck. You and I have had this conversation about the 904 grant and how the money received is to be spent on, I'm going to quote you, vital needs of the borough. What exactly are Verona Borough's vital needs? Do they include the garden club? And if it doesn't, where do the needs of this borough fit in the whole realm compared to that need? Number 6, Councilperson Carpenter, Ordinance Chairperson. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe that you are an active member of the Verona Flower and Garden Club, and you made the motion to donate the $500. It was seconded by Mrs. Provenza. I would like to take this opportunity to refer to you to the Borough Code and also the Borough Council Handbook that is put out by the Governor's Office. You can find this on page 10. It's called Conflict of Interest. Borough councilors should be very careful to avoid the possibility of conflict between their personal and private interests in their role as a public officer. The Ethics Act states that people have a right to be assured the financial interests of public officers do not conflict with the public trust. In any issue brought before council where an individual member has a conflict of interest or there is an appearance of a conflict of interest, that councilor should refrain from voting on the issue. Pennsylvania courts have long upheld as a fundamental public policy principle the rule that members of a governmental body cannot vote on any matter where they have a direct personal interest. Number 7, Councilperson McCarthy and Mr. Recupero. In all due respect to you, as president of the council and mayor of Verona, you should be aware that this donation is a conflict of interest under the Ethics Act. How you plan on resolving this conflict? Now, whenever I have an issue, I try to consider ways to resolve the problem. So here is my resolution to this issue. Make a motion to replace the money from your own pockets to the public funds that was haphazardly donated. After all, in the last community newsletter, significant gratitude was given to the council for their efforts, not for their taxpayers' money that you used. I do expect some professional response from the council people via the president of council and the mayor. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Bell. We'll get back to you with this. Any other registered comments?
No registered comments on the agenda.
Okay. Let's move to reports of, any reports of or correspondence.
Yeah, so the first thing on the list is meeting minutes. Everybody was distributed meeting minutes after the last meeting by Marcia. We would need a motion to approve the meeting minutes for the June workshop.
I'll make that motion to accept the workshop meeting minutes.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Lealba. Are there any questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Are there any noes? Motion passed.
Last week, everybody was distributed bills payable list. As far as other financial reports, we would need a motion to pay the bills.
Pay the
I need a
bills.
motion to pay the bills.
I'll make the motion, pay bills.
Mr.
Second.
Forbeck made the motion to pay the bills. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Suchovich. Are there any questions? There being no questions, all those in favor say aye.
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 Are there any noes? No noes, motion passed.
Okay. Part of the package that everybody received in their email included financial reports, the tax collector special tax report for June of 2020. We received $13,224.90 in real estate taxes for the current year, $3,925.94 in real estate taxes delinquent. I'm sorry. That number is actually $6,228.50 for delinquent real estate tax. Real estate transfer tax is $1,715. Earned income taxes for the current year, $27,339.52. And local service taxes for the current year, $2,019.71.
I need a motion to accept the tax collector special taxes.
I'll make that motion, Pat.
Motion by Mr. Provenza. Do I have a second? I'll second it. Are there any questions?
I have a quick question.
Go ahead.
Am I to interpret this report that there are never any delinquent earned income tax monies? Is that why it's all zero?
Everything is collected by Keystone Collections. I think that amount is very minimal. Everything comes through in one lump, so we don't really get to see that. But I would say that any amount in that is very, very minimal.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Being no questions, all those in favor say aye.
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 Are there any noes? No noes, motion passed. Treasurer's report.
For the treasurer's report, which was also sent out, we received $64,449.07 in deposits into the general fund. We had expenditures of $308,587.11. We began the month with $704,708.78 and finished the month with $460,570.74. Just as a side note with that, there were several of our larger projects were paid out this month. We paid out Holbein for the paving of 2nd Street. We were waiting for the reimbursement from Penn Hills for their portion of it. There was also a sewage payment this month for the quarter that is also on that treasurer's report. And we paid for the demolition of 515 East Railroad this month, which was $17,000. So there were several major expenditures that came out this month.
I need a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
Make the motion, accept the treasurer report.
I'll
I'll make
second.
that motion.
Mike, did you make the motion?
Yes, I
Okay.
do.
Motion by Mr. Forback, second by Ms. Lealba. Are there any questions?
I have one.
Me too.
Do we have any idea how much we're getting reimbursed from Penn Hills?
Matt has that. It's about 25K.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I did not write the exact amount down. I think it was 23 and some change. I just
That's good. I just was wondering if there was an approximate for now.
Yeah, and I just spoke to Scott at Penn Hills today. They were using their liquid fuels to reimburse us with, so I provided him a couple extra documents like the advertisement and everything. So they should be getting that process to us this month.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I have a question too.
Go ahead.
Out of all that money, I know you said we paid Holbein for Second Street, what paving, do you have approximate amount of how much that was?
$120,000.
Okay. And, all right, thank you.
Are there any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Are there any noes? No noes. Motion passed. We need the police chiefs and ordinance officers report.
I have it. Complaints received 120, total crimes reported 29, total crimes cleared 26, total persons arrested was 23, crime code summary 5, borough parking tickets 39. Magistrate fines $180.97. Borough fines and fees collected $500. Police reports purchased $105. Municipal fine, total fines and fees collected $785.97, and parking permit fees $475. That's it.
Okay, I need a motion to accept the police chief's ordinance officers report.
I'll make
that
it,
motion.
Pat.
Motion by Ms. Provenza, second by Mr. Suchovich. Are there any questions?
Yeah,
Oh.
go ahead.
Oh,
Before
sorry.
me.
Do we know why the municipal fines are down so much from this year from last year? Because I think it looks like almost $900 last year, and we only gotten $17 this year. I know it's not a lot of money, but I just didn't know if anyone knew.
With COVID, they've been instructed to limit their interaction with the public, whether it's traffic citations or parking and things like that.
Yeah. So what is that? What falls into that category, Jerry? Is it just basically traffic tickets?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Thanks.
That's no court, right? I mean, there's no court. What's going on?
I think that we were discouraged from even filing citations with the court. They weren't taking citations.
Got it. Thanks.
I had a
Another
question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just pulling this up now. But did I hear that correctly, that parking tickets, and this might relate to the question that was just asked and answered, but I'm looking at it now, that the just the regular parking tickets, that there were 39 of them,
Right.
road parking tickets. So,
Yes.
okay. So that's in a month's time, approximately 30 days. So does that mean we're only giving one parking ticket out a day?
Well,
When did
we
they
just
start?
started back up, wasn't it? I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, same thing you're going to ask. When did we start up doing tickets?
Wasn't it June 15th?
Oh,
We
so we
started.
weren't giving out any tickets for anything for a while, for like 2 months.
People weren't parking anywhere.
I suspended all the parking tickets since the COVID-19 came out
Okay.
in the middle of March. Everybody was laid off, and everybody was struggling. Not
Okay.
only here but throughout. And I didn't.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? All those in favor to accept the report, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any noes? No noes. Motion passed. Verona Fire Chief's report.
We had a slow month. We had 4 calls for the month of June.
Okay,
We had, Jamie is here for the, I'm sorry to interrupt. You can finish that.
go ahead.
Well, Jamie's here, so once you do the motion and vote on the fire chief.
Okay.
he can do-
Let me do this real quick. Do
Sorry.
we, I need a motion to accept the fire chief's report.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Matlin. I need a second. I'll second it. Are there any questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 And any noes? No noes? Motion passed. Jamie is present for the EMS report. Can we
Yeah.
have that, please?
Good evening. Can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Awesome. So for the month of June, we did a total of 50 calls into Verona Borough, 22 of it being advanced life support, 9 basic life support, 10 patient refusals, 4 patient lift assist, 4 cancellations, and 1 no patient found. For the year to date for Verona would be 220 calls. Also, I wanted to thank Ray and his fire department for the assistance on a boat emergency the other day. Everything went very smooth and as well had a good outcome. So thank you again.
No problem anytime, Jamie. We work well together with you guys.
Yes, we do.
Okay. I need a motion to accept the EMS report.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Suchovich. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Alba. Are there any questions? No questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any noes? No noes. Motion passed. Mayor, go ahead.
All right, Pat, I'm glad to see you and your wife are back on your feet and feeling a lot better. Thank God.
Thank you very much.
And Matt, I hope you're gonna go over the Wildwood Avenue project. I'm sure. The trees on Wildwood, they need to be trimmed again. They're starting to touch the roofs of big trucks, coming down there. And then we start grabbing branches and ripping them off, and the car behind you is going to end up with a branch in the windshield. So we need to look at that. And the Center Avenue project, are we going to start that this year, the drainage, where it ices up every year?
I was going to touch on that.
Okay. What about the South Avenue project? We were going to widen the road. We were going to take out the grass area we talked about.
Up by the park there?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, up by Cribs.
Yeah, we had talked about it then. I think with all the shutdowns and everything that kind of got put on hold. It's definitely, it's doable. It's just a matter of timing. It would be some asphalt repairs, so possibly lump it in with some of the other asphalt work around town.
Okay. All right. And the other thing I have is the Garden Club, they had their garden walk Saturday. Even though it rained, I was on it. I had 18 visitors in my house from Shaler and Richland area. There was 2 people that came, and it was very nice, even though the weather was rainy, but all in all, I think it was a very nice turnout. And I would like to thank them for starting it up again. That's all I have at this time.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Mr. Pitch.
Thank you. Just everyone should have the report in front of them, so if there's any questions on that. The First Street reconstruction, we're finalizing the bid documents on that, and that should be going out to bid here shortly. The pavilion for Cribbs Field, I just received back the finalized mechanical and electrical drawings for that today, so that should be out the bid early next week. And then the PA Small Water and Sewer project for the sanitary line on Ridge Avenue, that project is advertised, and I've talked to a couple bidders on that, so we'll be getting that underway here soon. The other items that didn't make it on my report that I wanted to touch on As the mayor said, the Center Avenue project, we were hoping to maybe get that under the bidding threshold and just be able to get quotes for it. Unfortunately, talking to a couple of the contractors, just the scope of it, it would include about 500 feet of pipe, another inlet up near Athletic, and then some under drain to catch all the spring water that's coming to the surface. We're looking probably in about the $40,000 range, so we would have to bid that out. That's something that I can get prepared really quickly. I just wanted to run it past council first to make sure it was something that we wanted to move forward with getting it bid out.
I think it's something that needs to be done because that gets to be a pain in the neck for everybody
Okay.
in the winter.
It'll probably end up costing us a lawsuit if we don't get it fixed, knowing
Okay.
the issues.
Not
I
a
think
problem.
we should move forward with it.
Sounds good. I will make sure I get the bid documents put together and get it out to the contractors this week.
Matt, did you say that was going to be in with another project, or that's a standalone project?
That one was standalone. The one we're hoping to maybe lump in with the pavilion is the under drain of the fields. We're waiting to see what the bids come in for the pavilion first, and if they come in under what our grant amount is, then we'll change order in under drain for the fields.
Okay.
Jerry, financially, can we afford to do this $40,000 on Center Avenue project?
Yeah, we can. We're okay. I mean, I don't really think we have much of a choice. It needs to be done.
Okay.
It's
I just wanted to make sure before we started putting the bid out that we could,
Yeah, it's an expense that we're going to have to do before somebody gets hurt.
Okay.
Is that a liquid fuels expense?
I don't think so.
It might be. I'll have to double check with PennDOT. I'll double check and get back with Jerry on that because it could be something. Being the scope of it, I'm not sure if it would qualify or not, but I'll find out for sure.
All right, thanks, man.
The other item, I know we've talked about it for a while here, is some parking lines around town. I talked to AJ. We're getting set up to put some lines and paint some curbs over by the post office to get that straightened out. I believe he's set up to get the lines on East Railroad painted as well. And then I know there's been some requests for North Avenue. I did some research. I reached out to a couple of companies that manufacture the paint. As we all know, that the standard paint does not stick to the bricks very well. And talking to a couple of the manufacturers and even the company that recently painted Second and Center, they themselves are not entirely sure because the glaze that the bricks have on them, their recommendation is to try an epoxy paint. So for a 5-gallon bucket, it's about $250, and their recommendation is just to try a couple small lines and see how they last before going full bore and painting the whole road. So that's something that I'll work with Jerry and AJ on to do some tests on the brick. And then the other thing, AJ and I were able to inspect the Wildwood culvert in front of Benny Doherty's property there. It's nowhere near as bad as where it was where we had the previous repair. It's just basically the sidewalk portion, which is the lid of the culvert, is failing. We measured it up. That one, I do feel that based off of estimates, it will come in under the bidding threshold. So we're probably looking in the high teens, maybe 20,000 for that. So I wanted to see if that was something we wanted to move forward, getting quotes. Getting quotes won't cost the borough anything advertisement wise, and then we'll at least have a better idea of what it would cost exactly from the contractor.
Matt, I think you should get the quotes so that we have an idea where we're at with that in the future.
Okay, I'll move forward and get those quotes in. And that's all I have unless there was questions.
Yeah, Matt, I had a couple questions. Do you happen to know, do we have any update on the Gentleman's Hillside? This was brought up a few months ago. That was, I believe it's near Ridge. Was it John Hackett? Do I have his name correct?
John Hackett, you're correct.
Yeah.
4th Street.
Yes, I had talked to him again and we reviewed it. All the water that is connected to those inlet pipes are Penn Hills inlets off the hilltop up there.
Mhm.
So I had talked to him and told him that really Verona Borough didn't have responsibility in that fact, that he'd have to talk to Penn Hills about that.
Okay, I gotcha. Thanks. The other thing I had, you said, what did you say the bid schedule is for the pavilion, the Cribs Pavilion?
So I just received the mechanical and electrical drawings back today.
Mhm.
So I was hoping to get the site plan finished up and probably by the end of next week, hope to have it out to bid.
Okay. Is that something that has the rec board reviewed that at all, or has anyone else? Like, I don't know if it's something that we'd want to review with them, just to make sure that we're kind of getting what we want there.
So what I had provided earlier was just the general layout of the building, basically showing the restrooms, the concession stand, and a small mechanical room, and then just the overall size of everything. As far as materials went, we picked a block for the building portion to cut down on vandalism and deterioration. As for the rest of everything else, it's pretty standard materials that colors and everything will be decided upon like during the process of like once a contractor's picked, he'll submit materials for us to pick colors and things like that. I can certainly send you over what we have so you can take a look at it. As far as the layout though, it's pretty general, just restrooms, concession stand area.
Okay. So because I remember what you sent over before, I thought was was kind of like the pre-engineered or pre-designed building that was from like a design build type company. But this, did you say you're going with something that you guys designed that will just get put out to a contractor?
So I had met with RCP Structures, and they're the ones that provide prepackaged structures. However, once receiving their quote, they do not provide a lot of materials. So as far as all the block, all the utilities like toilets and sinks and everything, none of that was included in their package. And for the price of what their package was, it wasn't a good deal. So we were able to design the pavilion with the block structure at the back of it to fit our needs a lot better than what the pre-package could do.
Okay. So is the layout about the same, or is it much different from what you had from them?
It's pretty much the same. It has the rear of the building has the entrance to the restrooms, separate restrooms, male and female, ADA accessible. In between the two restrooms is a small mechanical room, and then there's a concession stand with roll-up doors.
Is there a water fountain of any sort?
Yes, we're putting a tamper-proof refrigerated fountain with a bottle filler.
Oh, okay, great.
And that will be situated between the two roll-up doors underneath the pavilion.
Okay. All right.
Part of this was you included. I mean, as part of the grant package, I'm sure you're looking at sort of low-flow toilets and things like that for this.
Yes,
type of
I can't remember off the top of my head what the gallon was, but it was somewhere around like a 1 gallon flush. And then we also went with a tamper-proof toilet that has a locking lid on it. We were contemplating going with stainless steel toilets. They require a little bit of different type of plumbing with those, and they just kind of present a real cold surface, not very inviting. So we went with it's a Collier, but it's a tamper-proof toilet.
That was the next line of questioning I was going to have. So thank you.
Yeah, Matt, if you're able to send any info you have over, I wouldn't mind taking a look at it if you get a chance.
Yeah, not a problem. I'll send it over to everyone in a group email, so whoever wants to look at it can.
Okay, thanks.
Not a problem.
Thanks, Mr. Pitts. Mr. Alexander.
Thank you, Mr. President. A few things to talk about. Still working on the right to know request from Lois Vitti with regard to 500 Jones Street. Mark had sent me, actually Marsh had sent me at Mark's direction, a large file with various documentation in it in an effort to respond to that. Basically she wants to know why the property was condemned and why it's going to sheriff's sale. And she wants all the documentation in support of that. So I'm now sorting through all the documentation that Mark sent me, and I'm going to sit down with Lois and try to resolve that right to know, because there is some substantial documentation with regard to that. Recently, Intergroove sent a letter over to Mark asking to be allowed to extend their off-premises outdoor dining into the sidewalk of the neighbor next door, who granted them permission to do that. He was having surgery on his eyes and asked me to tend to that. He had indicated that he had no problem with granting that request, and I issued Intergroove a letter advising him that that was satisfactory during the duration that this pandemic continues and the emergency declaration continues with the restrictions on the bars and restaurants. We met, as we always do, at the Code and Ordinance Committee. It was pushed back a week. I think it was on June 1st this month. And I also recently met with Nancy, and I'm sure she'll have more to comment on that with regard to a couple of the ordinances we're working on to come up with some solid drafts for the next ordinance meeting. And that's all I have to report on, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander. Mr. Mallon.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. Just had a couple things. One, the road condition assessment. Still working on that. I've been in contact with Matt, Jerry, and Mike about how we want that to look. And basically, I had put together a framework for the spreadsheet, which is I think we're pretty much final on. I've been adding, going through the maps and adding basically all the streets, roads, and alleys in the borough. And I'll break it down by different segments or blocks. And Mike has offered kindly to assist me with going through and surveying all the roads, streets, and alleys. And then we're basically going to give each one a rating on condition, and then rate it for the traffic volume and the occupancy. And then once you add those all up, it'll help give us an overall rating for each road that can be used to try to prioritize, which streets we should focus, paving on, since, everyone knows we have limited funding to pave, in a given year, especially with any impact from COVID. So hopefully this is something that we can build upon going forward. It'll help the streets crew, identify maintenance items if there's small repairs that need to be done and things like that. And we can better track, how often streets need to be paved or how they're wearing over the years. So I hope that's something we can use for years to come. It's a lot of work to put it together up front, but I think in the long run it'll pay off for future years paving. So I don't have any priorities yet until we go out and assess the roads. Stop signs, I mentioned this at the last meeting, and asked for some feedback. I've already gotten some feedback from residents about some problem or dangerous intersections where there either isn't a stop sign or it's, maybe they're not placed correctly. So I'm gonna continue looking for input. If anyone has any suggestions, please, feel free to get a hold of me, send me an email. My email address is on the website, and I'd be happy to look into it. Once I have a list, I'll go through and check out those intersections, and I'll review it with Matt and make sure that it follows, traffic code and things like that. And then we'll have to look to get an ordinance. So it's something that's not going to happen overnight, but I understand the safety concerns that people have had about stop signs. The other thing with county hauling, we put out a message to everyone reminding residents to report any issues with that, with county hauling to county hauling directly, especially missed collections. That needs to be reported right away, because they are obligated to come back and do a missed pickup call to go get anyone's garbage or recycling that was missed. And I believe it's within a business day or two. So that's why the timing is important there. But we're also encouraging people to report all any complaints they have, whether it's missed collections or otherwise, to the borough. Marsha's been logging that. So I just wanted to remind everyone about that. I don't know, Jerry, do you have any update from as far as what Marsha's getting in? I've heard a lot personally from various people that they've been reporting it to her, to you. So you're muted.
Yeah, she's been getting the reports, and they've been pretty responsive with it. They've also been sending out the exception reports like we asked. And there have been some complaints, but I don't know that there's necessarily been a big spike, aside from that there's more people aware that they need to let Marsha know.
Mm-hmm.
They've been pretty responsive in getting the pickups, and I think they're doing better.
Yeah, I mean, I have heard some complaints the last week about garbage cans getting thrown around in the street, and some people's cans not being emptied, and the collectors not wearing shirts, which I didn't witness personally. But I just, hopefully we can keep tracking this and letting county hauling know. And then I know a lot of people are frustrated, but I hope people can be patient to report this and give us time to try to work through it as best we can, since, you know, we did meet with them and we are trying to rectify it. The only thing with county hauling is, Jerry, do you know what the increased rate for billing is for? Because I believe you said that there was maybe a yearly increase under the contract.
So you had mentioned that it went up 49 cents. I talked to Matt about that this weekend, and the 49 cents is the monthly increase. All the companies that bid all had increases.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like it was just county hauling. It'll be a 49-cent per month increase. So you'll see your quarterly bill will go up $1.47.
Okay, that's kind of what I thought. Talking to a bunch of other people that noticed that, I just wanted to make sure that was the case, and that it was a scheduled
an annual increase. So
annual increase.
June was the first month, and that last bill ended at the end of June.
End of June, yeah.
1 month of the increase.
Okay. Do you know, is there an increase every year following, I'm assuming? Okay. All right. I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Dave, while you're here, the mayor had mentioned about Wildwood.
Oh, I meant to touch on that. Yeah, sorry.
Go ahead.
So I was already looking into a tree trimming like bid spec that we could put out. It came up a couple months ago, I think. And I was talking with Laura Jacka, because I know she's had a lot of experience with Tree Vitalize and Tree Pittsburgh, and she did get me from them some good specs that I'm working on putting together, because I think Jerry and I had talked about, you know, there were some trees maybe in the business district that we wanted to look at, and he had suggested maybe we look at doing, you know, a borough-wide tree trimming, because I know that in the past the Wildwood Road section needs attention. So I'm trying to put that together. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll have something that we can all review and look at.
Okay. One of the things is, if I remember correctly, in the past, the people that live above Wildwood, they get billed for half of those trees, for half of that contract, because of their property lines.
Okay.
That's the way we did it years ago.
about 8 years ago, I think we did it, and they get a bill for half, whatever their cost is for that. So you have to look into that as well. Be aware that some of that money will go back to those.
Yeah, we need to look at the, because there was a question that came up with Mark and I this week. Something that we need to look at as far as the borough's shade tree ordinance, or if we have a shade tree ordinance, whether or not the trees in the right of way, the grassy area between the street and the sidewalk, are the borough's responsibility or the homeowner's responsibility. Each town is different. Some towns take ownership of those. I don't know what Verona's is, but if those are the residents, then we need to make sure that we keep those off of bid spec, and we only go after places that are either borough right of way or vacant properties that we have to maintain in order to keep them unsightly or sightly, keep them from getting unsightly. So we need to check that shade tree ordinance and see what trees are exactly our responsibility.
I believe that without looking at the ordinance or the code, that if the tree is in the right of way, it still is the resident's responsibility, similar to the sidewalks. But I'd have to check that too.
I just want to mention, thanks, Craig, that Mark is in the meeting. He's an attendee. He's the one who's the phone number. He's listening by phone. I don't know if he has something that he could weigh in. I don't know if you could elevate him or not, Jerry, since he's on the phone to a panelist. But he might be able there. Yeah, he might have something to say that could confirm what Craig was saying. Mark, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, Mark, we can. Go ahead.
Okay. I believe what Craig said is what I read in the ordinance, that the abutting property owner is responsible for maintenance of the tree and any trimming.
So those along Wildwood Road, they would be billed. The borough could go ahead and get them trimmed, and they would just bill the individual homeowners.
Well,
that's my understanding.
I think you got to provide them an opportunity to cut them down themselves.
Well,
trim them themselves.
I agree, but we send them a letter stating that they have so many days, and then if they don't comply, then the borough is going to do it in this many days.
That's correct. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
So can we use that for all over the borough? I don't know about the trees on West Railroad that are not on the right of way. They're on the railroad side. They're really, what I'm worried about with those trees is that they would, in high windstorms, come down because they're so long, overhanging. So I don't know that doesn't really concern the homeowners on that particular street, but do we need to do something with the railroad about that?
The problem with that is that the railroad's exempt from your zoning regulations, and there's no way to enforce that against the railroad. We've been down that road many times.
But what I'm asking is, are we allowed to just go ahead and trim those trees?
I don't believe you are. I think that you'd have to have the railroad's permission. I remember when we wanted to trim their weeds, and they threatened us with trespass charges.
They did, yeah, they did initially, but then they changed their mind and they said, go ahead, and we have no problem with it.
Yeah, there's a difference between permission and just being able to go do it.
I met with the railroad. They didn't have a problem with us maintaining that area. They want us to let them know because they're going to shut the railroad off while we have people on there. But they're okay with us maintaining them. The only thing I would caution is if you start going all around town and picking several trees and several homes, we end up having to do that. And then lien properties, you're liable to spend an astronomical amount of money leaning property and trying to chase down money to trim trees in
You'll never get back
right of ways. So I would keep it to Wildwood, maybe the railroad. You're not going to get any money out of the railroad, but keep it to Wildwood or places that are the trees have become dangerous. Other than that, I think we just need to lean on the homeowners to trim it.
Yeah, I agree with that, Jerry. I wasn't, I mean, I was planning on having a conversation with others at some point about what we really need versus what, is someone else's responsibility. So, we can talk further later at the workshop and figure out, identify exactly which areas we need. But I appreciate Pat's input on the history with Wildwood and the mayor for bringing this up. If anyone else has any other concerns about particular trees, let me know and I'll look into it. So, thanks.
Okay. Dr. Carpenter.
Yes, thank you, Mr. McCarthy. I'm just pulling up my calendar here. Okay, so we did have an ordinance meeting on June 1st, and then we had on June 29th. And then Mr. Alexander and I met and worked on the short-term rental ordinance. We are combining information from both the model and the Lehman Township example that he sent us. In terms of the animal control ordinance, we're getting very close with that as well, and still doing some research on what we have on the books currently, maybe just combining the information from all of those into one. And the ordinance committee on the 29th met and discussed potential changes to the some of the parking fines and sort of catching up with the times and inflation. That still is requiring some conversation with the mayor and the police department before we come up with final figures for that. We are also researching right now what we might have in the way of a stop sign ordinance. And once, Dave, you get all your stop signs lined up that you are gonna want to add, then we will put together an ordinance about that. I also think that I emailed all of you at some ridiculous hour last night while I was awake about making a motion about the signs that Mr. Stanton would like to have made up for weed control. So before I make that motion, Mark, is there anything you'd like to, share with the rest of council about the necessity of those signs?
We still have a lot of problems with weeds. Typically, the front yards are kept pretty good, but we've had the issue with the rodents in the alleys, and there's a lot of brush and weeds that's leaving places for the rodents to hide. So I'm hoping the last ditch effort with these signs to try to get a little more compliance.
So does anybody have any questions before I make the motion?
Yeah, where are these signs going to go, or how many of them?
I'm going to make a motion to make 25. I think that Mark did some comparison shopping, and Mark, it was which one charges $9 a sign?
The least expensive was Rogers and Turf, and we would place these just at like principal intersections where people stop and see the sign, because I've been told that the council wants compliance with cutting these weeds, and I just have a vision of hundreds of tickets I'm going to have to write.
And what was I going to say? Were you going to add something to the sign that indicated it was Verona Borough?
Right. I thought at least the word Verona should be added, trying to keep the lettering as big as possible.
So any other questions or concerns that anybody might have about this? I don't know if everyone had a chance to see their email. I'm guesstimating that's going to be around $250 for all the signs. So I'd like to make a motion that we go ahead and make the order for 25 weed enforcement signs at a cost of approximately $250.
Motion on the floor by Dr. Carpenter to purchase 25 signs at approximately cost of $250. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Suchovich. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I have a real quick question. Mark, what if we put, you said you want to make Verona as big as possible, then what about a smaller letter borough ordinance with the number on it and, underneath Verona?
Yeah, the price will be the same. We can do that, no problem.
Yeah, this way people know it is an ordinance. It's coming from Verona Borough, and if they want to look up the ordinance, the number will be there to look it up online.
Yep, no problem at all.
Okay, do I need to make any amendments to my ordinance, or can we just go ahead with it?
No. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess my only concern is that, we're going to put these signs up everywhere, and they're gonna. I don't know if there's a better way to relay the message, maybe in a more visually appealing manner. I don't know. I'm open to suggestions, but I understand the need for enforcement in certain areas. I know that there's been rat and rodent issues, so I don't have a problem with that. But I just concerned about how putting up a bunch of black and white signs is going to look around town. So that's all.
You could do a letter mailing if you want.
How much does that cost?
Probably a lot more, but
Did we do a letter last year, Mark?
No, I think we went with the article in the newsletter.
Yeah, and we repeated the article.
Right?
What's that, Ray?
There is ordinances on all the weeds and everything, right?
Yes.
Why do we have to put special signs up? The more you think of it, Dave's right. Why do we have to put special signs up to tell somebody, oh, hey, by the way, look at your ordinance. Your grass is too high. Your garbage is out there. You're supposed to know the ordinances being a homeowner, or you can go on Echo 360. I have to agree with Dave. Why do we have to put more signs up? There's enough stupid signs around towns.
Don't disagree, but I think that what Mark is saying is that if he could put some signs up, that hopefully that would get people motivated to do this. And on top of it, it would save him some time in going out and having to issue citations.
I agree with you, Pat, but you give somebody some citations and the word gets around that you're going to keep Verona clean and you're going to keep it cut. They're going to cut their grass and they're going to keep their yards neat and garbage cleaned up.
Hasn't worked so far. It has not worked so far.
What about?
Is there a time frame for these? I didn't remember if they're going to be put up a certain time period and taken down after a while.
Mark?
They're those signs like they use for political signs, or sometimes remodelers have those signs, that temporary signs just put out. But if you rather we work on the enforcement end, that's what we'll do.
I'm wondering if we could put a message out on the website, Facebook, community group, newsletter, whatever. Try that route. I understand, Mark, that, if you just go out and start enforcing it, you're going to have a ton of tickets to write, and you probably don't have time to write all of them. But I'm just wondering if there's other ways we could do it that are, without sticking more signs all around town.
So here's what I would suggest for right now. I'd be willing to rescind the motion And we can discuss, Mark and I, or at the ordinance meeting or whenever, alternate ways to handle this for now, see how it works. And if it doesn't work, I mean, by the time we figure that out, it'll be fall, so it won't matter as much, but maybe it will. But I'm gonna officially rescind my motion, meet with Mark and with the ordinance committee, and we will go from there. Does that sound okay, Mark?
It's fine with me.
Okay.
Okay, the motion's been rescinded. We need to take a vote on that, Mr. Alexander.
No, we just need a rescission of the second too.
I'll rescind my second.
Mr. Suchovich rescinded his second. Motion's off the table. Anything else, Dr. Carpenter?
Yes, a couple of other things. Our next ordinance meeting is on July 27th. That's the fourth Monday of the month. We're back on schedule now. And I wanted to let everyone know who may have noticed, we have a real issue around the Doughboy with grass is just taking over the one flower bed that is there. And Matt Resnick responded to an inquiry, and he said we will be addressing that bed this week. In fact, more than likely tomorrow. We're going to rip up that fabric and redo that troubled area and remulch it. We'll also be taking care of all the sidewalks throughout the borough with beds, as well as all the other mulched beds. So that's what's going on there. If anybody had any questions about the grass overgrowing in the Doughboy area, I don't know what the issue is. They put this fabric down and it's coming back up, but guy is a really nice guy and does good work for the most part. So I don't see anything else on my list. That's it for now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Carpenter. Mr. Forback.
Thank you, Mr. President. Welcome back. First, I'm going to sort of go in reverse order. The police committee met yesterday and interviewed Brian Bradford for a part-time police officer for the borough. He is working 3 other jobs right now, but he's willing to leave the one. He wishes to work for the borough. He worked with the borough before as a police officer. The issue that we're might just have a little bit of right now is the scheduling, and for one, and the other is he does have to pass a background check. So the committee agreed that we would like to offer him this position pending the background check and agreement that we can have on of hours for working. So I don't know if anybody from the committee wants to add anything else to that.
You said it fine, Mike.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to hire Brian Bradford pending the background check and resolution of hours to work for the borough.
I'll second.
Second by first by Mr. Forback, second by General Elbow to accept the hiring of the new police officer. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I missed the name, Mike.
His name is Brian Bradford.
Thank you.
Mike, you said he worked for the borough as a police officer previously?
Yeah,
In
Mayor, you know.
In 2006, he was here.
Okay.
He's a very good officer. I have no problem in the board hiring him.
Okay. So, do you know why he left then, or was it?
Back then, we were probably paying $10 an hour, and he went to more or less better himself at other departments like everybody else.
Okay. Thanks, Dave.
Are there any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any noes? No noes. Motion passed.
Hey, Pat, Mr. President, before you go on, I forgot one thing. I wanted to request a short exec session afterwards. There's no need to come back.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Forback?
Yeah, I have a couple other things. One is dealing with the comp plan update. I did reach out to Oakmont, Scott Foddy, and they had been starting with their comp plan. As you remember from the workshop, we were trying to see if we could partner with Oakmont, meet with them. And of course, all the COVID happened and so forth. Well, they reached. We got back with each other. They are having they basically had spent their expenditures on their comp plan, and since this is a discretionary item, they're not sure if they're going to be able to move forward on this second or third or fourth quarters coming up. But they did welcome a chance in the near future for us to get together. So I would suggest that, once you're up and about, and then also the president of Oakmont, that we again arrange a meeting for us to at least discuss future of this partner. So the other issue was on the glass recycling from the workshop. I did reach out again to PRC, and we were two issues. One was a drop-off pop-up facility that would be there for a week. Since then, all the bars were closed, and COVID still moves on. And we decided that at this time, that probably wouldn't warrant a good use of space and capacity for just a 1 week drop off. So we would like to visit maybe that sometime in the fall, and then pursue either a full-time drop off, and we're going to get prices for that. And I asked them to help me with that also. And in addition, I think, Jerry, you'd asked me to try to research some of the specialized containers, and I did reach out to DEP. They sent me some information, but I'm not done researching. One of them, it is a total container that has a sliding door that would be limited in what you can put in there. And that, I guess they said with the cameras, we could probably do something, but that is something that's going to be we'll continue working on that behind the scenes. So, and that's all I had.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Forback. Mr. Sacevich.
Welcome back, Mr. McCarthy.
Thank you.
And glad everybody else is healthy. Jerry, real quick, I talked to you today. Did you by chance get a chance to look up at the percentages of the EIT?
Yeah, I did. Right now, our the earned income tax is down approximately 30%. Through this year, we've received $136,586. Last year, at this point, we had received $195,937. So we're down a little over $59,000.
Wow.
In addition to that, our local service taxes are down. Not nearly as much, about 10%, a little less than 10%, 9% or so. Last year at this point, we had received $28,784. This year, we're $26,049, so about $2,700 shy. So we are.
We're down, but it could be worse, I guess, with the way everything's going. The audit, Jerry got all the info to the auditors. We hope to have everything back by the workshop and have everything done by the workshop for the 2019 audit. What's that?
Just about finished up. We'll have everything ready to go for the workshop.
And Jerry, I have one other question, and this was brought to my attention from another council person. When we do our budget, we budget, just say, I don't want to put any names out there. We budget a certain amount. When we get to, just say the street crew, when we get to close to that budget, and we know we're going to go over because we still got, say, 3 months to go. What's our game plan? Do we have a game plan for that? Do we watch that close?
Yeah, I watch it. It depends on the account you're talking about. If it's payroll, it's not like I can tell the streets guys not to come out when it's snowing.
Right.
And if it's police, it's not like I can tell them not to cover a shift. So if it's payroll, there's really not a whole lot of things we can do. Fortunately, we have a really good staff that go that work hard to stay under that budget.
Right.
As far as other things like general expenditures and things like that, we watch it, and if we're starting to approach it, if there's something that we can put off till the next year, we certainly do.
Okay.
That we don't have a choice for, we don't have a choice for it. We try to adjust the budget going forward, or try to adjust the line items in the budget to say, okay, well, for this year, because we've been so short in part-time police, and we actually had budgeted for full-time officers, we're going to go over on overtime. But since we are so far under budget on part-time and full-time wages,
It'll balance itself out.
it'll balance itself out. Yeah. So we try to watch as far as that goes. If we can, push one expenditure off so that we can make up for it in some other account, that's what we do.
Thank you. And one other question I had talked to you before. I just wanted to bring it to council's attention. There's a lot of question about the borough employees doing this watering of the flowers and that. And I brought to Jerry's attention, and I believe he's doing it. The overtime and the money that the borough crew's making is supposedly going to come out of that money, not our general account. I mean, it still comes out of the general account, but it's going to be billed to that money that we allotted for the watering of the flowers. What was it, that $6,000 or something? So their overtime and everything's going to come out of that. So it's still out of our general account, but it's going to.
Yeah, we're hoping that we
come out
don't
of a different column.
Yeah, we're hoping that we don't end up going too far over what we had agreed to spend. I fear that we're going to.
I think when we get to that point, we have to say, hey, we allotted so much money and that's it. That's my opinion.
I know that AJ's been doing what he can to try to minimize the overtime coming in later so that he can use the hours at the end of the day and like that. But even with that being said, based on my conversation with him, they have already put in 24 hours of overtime between the two guys to cover the flowers. So, overtime for AJ and overtime for these guys is not cheap. So,
right.
Yeah, so we are spending a pretty tremendous amount of money.
I think next year on the budget, Jerry, when we sit down, we need to look at all this flower stuff and everything, what money we spent out on that. It's a lot of money we're putting out.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know the status for Darren, whether he's going to be able to come back. My thoughts are that
At this point in time, we can't worry about that. We have to watch what we're doing.
right.
and
I'm just saying that
I
there's
hope he's okay, number one, that's for sure.
Right. I hope
Yeah.
he's physically fine.
I'm just
but-
saying, I'm
Right.
just stating the budget. What we allotted for watering should come out of that. The borough's money should come out of that budget.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're not paying him while he's not doing it. So,
No, but the money that we're paying our employees should come out of that $6,000.
So you're saying that if we end up spending $6,000 with the borough guys doing it, then that should be the ending point of water and flowers?
What's that? I'm sorry.
That's when we
yeah, it's hard to hear you.
Hold on.
That's a discussion to happen down the road once
Yeah.
we get close to that budget.
Well, I'll keep tracking what we're spending, and once we get close to that number, then I'll let council know we can.
I guess we can bring that up under the exec session too.
Okay.
You can also bring out the finance committee meeting, right? We can talk.
Okay,
Anything else?
that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Alba,
Thank you. Pat, it's good to see you back. I hope Debbie's doing
thank you.
You're welcome. First, we had our first movies in the park, which was supposed to be Friday, but it ended up raining out. They ended up having it Sunday. It was a drive-in movie right for a parking lot. Thanks to Tim Long and Vince Loda and whoever else helped the gang there. I heard it was a success. The next tentative movie is scheduled for August 14th, and it's going to be Toy Story 4. So maybe on the same format at that time as a drive-in, I'm not sure, but we will, that will come out in a little bit. Tentatively too, the wrestling up at Cribs is scheduled for August 4th. That is still pending. Once we get any further updates, we'll be sure to let everybody know that is coming close. So we'll have to keep an eye on that and see. I'm sure Vincent can let us know what will be happening along with that. Last, right at the workshop, right the weekend before that, that's when we ended up with having 2 memorials set up for down at Riverbank Park, one with the Gronzowski family and one for the baby Bella. Talking with the rec board, they're looking into maybe some kind of resolution or not an ordinance, but some kind of plan for future memorials and how the borough can handle that. So there's different persons on the rec board committee looking into how the borough can handle that for future in case we end up having more memorials come away. How what's the best way to handle those situations? Let me think what else. I believe that's everything I have.
Okay, thank you. Ms.
Mr.
Provenza.
Mr. President, before Sylvia goes, Janet, I was wanting to also emphasize thanking Vince and Tim and Mike for their efforts with the movie in the park. We could not have done it without them. And also Trish and Dan were very instrumental in making that a success. And I think that the wrestling is scheduled for August 22nd. Is that, did you say August 4th? Did I mishear that?
Say that. Okay, I had that wrong then.
I believe it's August 27th, and I believe there's some flexibility. So they are at this moment still planning on having it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Ms. Provenza.
Yes, sir, Mr. President, and certainly welcome back, Pat, and sincere and complete and speedy recovery to you and Debbie. Good to have you back.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. You're welcome. I do have some items here that I need to share. First of all, I hope that everybody enjoyed the newsletter. We had so many wonderful articles, more than we normally get, and we're now taking ads and articles for our autumn issue. And the articles are due by August 31st, and you can send your article or picture to Donald Wolf at veronanewsroom@gmail.com. And also to place an ad or an advertisement, I'll be glad to take care of that, so I can be reached at the phone number right in the newsletter. Secondly, the Verona Community Dinner, which is always held at the Verona United Methodist Church, is still scheduled for Wednesday, July 29th at the church here on Center Avenue, and that'll go from 4:30 to 6:30. And it's a grab-and-go dinner, and it's this month, it's courtesy of the Oakmont Presbyterian Church. So just a heads up, if anybody is interested, the dinner is still on.
Can I ask a question about that, Sylvia?
Yes.
Last year, we hosted the dinner at the church in August and had a small discussion about considering to do that annually at the end of August. So I just wanted to say that out loud in case people still want to do that, or whether we're not involved because of the virus, or what the situation with that is.
You are correct, Nancy. We are not doing dinners in the building. These are grab and go dinners, and they're not actually a formal dinner. It's a sandwich and whatever accompaniments will go with that sandwich, with that meal. And also, when I spoke with Shirley today to confirm everything before I announced it, she does need some $10 gift cards if anybody would like to donate them. And I'm sure at another time, maybe we can do a dinner, but right now, with the lockdown on that virus, COVID-19, we can't do that right now. Nobody's entering the building. It's strictly a grab and go dinner.
Yeah, it looks like Janet. Yeah.
I did talk to Shirley Davis too to see what dates are available where the council could go and volunteer a dinner. Right now, July and August are already filled, and September is too. She's going to talk with her to see, talk with whoever volunteered for September if they would like to switch. So it's a possibility that council may do September. I told her whatever date becomes available for us would be fine, you know, as long as everybody can do it. So she's supposed to get back to me on a date.
Thank you, Jan.
You're welcome.
Go ahead, Ms. Provenza.
Thank you. Thanks, Jan. I was not aware of that. We did not discuss that. Maybe it was a little too far down the road. The next item is the farmers market coupons. For years, we always would just, anyone that needed coupons, they were just sent to the senior center and they were able to get the coupons there for farmers market. Now though, with the virus, there's been a complete change. And what you have to do now is you would go to the senior center and pick up a form, fill out the form, and either mail it in or email it in to the county. And the senior center in Oakmont up at RCAC, they are open generally till 1 o'clock Monday through Friday. And they do have applications up there. I actually brought a few back if anybody needs any. And if you give me a call, I'll be glad to make sure you get them. And the guidelines for that are that you must be 60 years of age and or older, and you have to be 60 before December 31st or by that date at the latest. And the income guideline for one person is $23,606. And for two people in one household, it's $31,894. And these coupons, of course, can be used right here at our Verona Farmers Market. So that's a nice inconvenience. And I do want to thank Stephanie Garibay for all her hard work in keeping the farmers market going. Stephanie, we appreciate you and thank you again. The other item is, I would like to say a big thank you to our Garden Club President, Angela Occhipinti. She had a lot of work putting this garden tour together, did a great job, she and our committee. And despite the rain, we had a wonderful crowd. And we even had people, as someone else had mentioned, not only from Verona, which was a very nice crowd, but also from Oakmont and other neighboring neighborhoods. And the people seemed to really, really enjoy it. It was a beautiful set of gardens that were put out that people could view. And also I want to thank Angela's cousin, Donna Occhipinti, who provided some beautiful music, which everybody really enjoyed. So thank you also to Donna. And I checked with ALOM, and I know that's an ALOM thing, but I may as well just do it now, then we'll be done. The ALOM, they are still having the golf outing, and that's going to be on Monday, July 20th, and it's at the Allegheny Country Club in Sewickley. And the tea times are 8:30 and noon. So I don't know if anyone's interested in that, but that was the information I was given. And the last thing I have is the Kennywood Picnic, which is going to be on Wednesday, August the 19th. We have complete information in our newsletter. It's giving you the information that you would need, the dates, the times, and the prices of the tickets, and where they're going to be sold and what time. So all you have to do is check the newsletter, and that is on page 8 of the newsletter. And I think if you have any other updates, I don't know of any right now. This is where it stands now. And that is my report, and I thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Provenza.
You're welcome.
I didn't mention things at the beginning. I saw, Jerry, that the Cribbs Field, the toilet's been broken and had to be repaired 2 or 3 times already.
The water fountain's been broken twice and repaired, and the toilet was clogged up once and had to be repaired. They've been cleaning the bathrooms and kind of redding up the field every day and trying to keep up with it now that it's open.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to make a motion that we suspend the workshops for July, August, and September, because I think everybody needs a break. And I'm making a motion of that now. There'll be a second? Mike Forbeck, second. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. I have a huge concern of doing that.
Why, Nancy? We've done it for years.
Well, there used to be a month, maybe two, back in the Tony days, but 3 months, especially September, I just think we have too many things to consider. And I gotta say, I disagree with that
That's
idea.
fine. If we need it, we can call them back in. Okay? Okay. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any noes?
I'm
Nay.
opposed.
You're opposed?
Yes.
Mr. Kenneth, do a roll call, please.
Okay. President McCarthy,
Yes.
Dr. Carpenter,
No.
Mr. Forbeck,
Yes.
Mr. Matlin,
No.
Mr. Sachovich,
Yes.
Ms. Luabo,
Yes.
Ms. Provenza,
No.
Did I get everybody? It's 1, 2, 3, 4 to 3. Yes, yeas have it.
Okay, motion passed. Okay. We have any registered comments? If you have a comment. Yes.
Before we go into that, I forgot to ask Matt, the
Sure.
street lights, where are we at on that? Did we surpass our 100 street lights we put up? That seems like they just stopped. Duquesne Light.
I'll have to double check. I know they were putting them up. I don't know if they got all 100 up or not.
Yeah, if you could, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll email my contact from Duquesne Light and see if they finished the project or not.
All right,
Matt, I
thank you. I thought there were a lot of streets on there, but it seems like they just did all the main streets. You know,
I
like
have a question.
Wildwood, South, North Avenue, and 2nd and 1st Street.
They did Arch Street.
Are they just doing main streets or are they doing alleys also?
That's the question I'm asking. I wanted to see if we were, surpassed our 100 that we were putting up. Because I was under the understanding the list that we had that pretty much, the whole town was getting them.
That's what I thought.
Maybe we surpassed the 100 already. I don't know. But I'd appreciate if you look into it, Matt.
I'll check that. To answer Sylvia, there wasn't any alleys on there. Based off of it, initially, it was only going to be 10 lights per community. And then based off of popularity of the program, you could possibly get up to 100. There wasn't that many communities that applied for it, so we were granted the 100 lights. Off the top of my head, it was either 9 or 10 streets total that got them, because one of the requirements was a minimum of 10 continuous lights, because they didn't want to be jumping around doing one light on this street and then one light on 2 streets over. I don't have the list with me, but I can, once I'm in the office tomorrow, I can resend it back out. A lot of it did focus more on the main streets, being Center, South, Wildwood, North, 2nd, 1st, I believe. But I'll get the list and email it to everyone.
Okay, thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Okay. Registered comment. I mean, if you have comments, limit it to 3 minutes, one time. We're not going into 2 and 3 people, the same person coming back 2 and 3 times. Okay. So, do we have anybody for comments?
Looks like it.
Sorry, I'm on mute. Donald Ward. Go ahead, Don. Rhoda. Hello?
Avenue.
Can't hear you.
Second time. Just do it. Wait a minute. Okay. Can you hear me now?
A little better.
Okay. Rhoda Wharf, 636 3rd Street, 3rd Avenue, Verona. I have a question. Did the water company get a permit for all the digging they've been doing? Because in the past, we had problems with the gas and water not getting permits when they started tearing up our streets and sidewalks.
They're working on projects that we've known about for a while.
They
Yeah,
do
we-
have permits?
They have
They acquired permits?
Yes.
Okay. Also, I had asked about cleaning the grates, our streets crew, if they were able to do that and paint the yellow corners and the the blue handicap areas.
Yeah,
Is that
they're
on their
paint-
agenda?
the painting is on their agenda, I know that.
Okay, good.
It's all on their agenda. They've been pretty backed up. They're pretty overwhelmed right now with the water.
Okay, well, they're doing a beautiful job. I just wanted to commend them. Also, how about the marquee? Janet, the marquee up at the Cribs Field?
I'm in the process of refurbishing it right now.
Okay, good. Thank you so much, because that is so nice to have. We all appreciate it up on the hill. Okay, thank you so much for listening. Thank you.
Dan Showalter is next.
He's muted.
Dan, go ahead.
Okay, Dan Showalter, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, Dan Showalter, 440 North Avenue. Just two quick things. At the corner, at the bottom of North Avenue and High Street, if I'm correct, we have a perfectly usable sidewalk. Unfortunately, there's a lot of debris, overgrown grass, and I think a little bit of the retaining wall there has separated and fallen onto the sidewalk there. It's a kind of a blind turn there. It's that kind of that crazy switchback. And if you have a stroller or anything like that, you are now forced into the street to be able to make it down to Allegheny River Boulevard because you can't really use the steps. I was just wondering if maybe we could have maintenance when they have an opportunity to kind of focus on that particular stretch of sidewalk. It shouldn't take too long. It's mostly just weeds and it looks like a little bit of debris, and it just would make with strollers a lot easier to get down to Allegheny River Boulevard.
All right, I'll have them take a look at it, Dan.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. And number two, kind of humorous, but I was wondering if possibly we could change street cleaning day to the day after county hauling comes through. Mostly because after they're done, the streets look bad, but the day before, the streets look pretty good. So kind of a humorous comment, but also kind of serious at the same time. Thanks for your time and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Okay. I think that's it.
Okay. We need to go to an exec session, Jerry.
Yep.
So I'll make a motion that this meeting be closed to go to an exec session that we do not have to come back to.
Second.
Second by Ms. Provenza. Are there any questions? No questions. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any no's? No. Okay.